support independence, and it asks some questions. I mean, it would be interesting for you to kind of look at those questions and reflect on them. Now, I haven't got space to kind of go through all of that, and I won't do that, but just for the first column, if you like, of questions which are directed at the voluntary sector, here are just a few tasters of the sorts of questions that are asked in the barometer. And it comes down, I think, to three things. Does the organisation give priority to independence? Matthew mentioned, finding space to think about independence. Does it, when it looks at that contract that it could go for, consider, well, is that consistent with our purpose? Is that something that would, actually help us to deliver what we're about, or would we be starting to move in another direction away from our original purpose for no good reason? I think the second aspect is about connection. Does the charity maintain its connection, its dialogue, its critical link into the communities that it serves? Or is it perhaps being diverted into some other driver of activity? And the last one is really about capacity. Does the organisation have the capacity to speak out? Does it have the staff in place? Does it have the ability to negotiate? Or is it so stretched in different directions, just in simply perhaps trying to get government contracts, that it just isn't able to speak up and make its points heard either to government or to other funders, or indeed to others who may have an interest, including the media. Now, Carl asked me to talk a bit about this perspective from government. The barometer looks at the wider environment, including relationships with government, and these are the factors that are considered that are important to independence. And I mean, they're wide-ranging, and you're recognising these, I'm sure, in terms of things like the compact, in terms of involvement and engagement, the ability to influence policies, the ability to influence the design of public services if it's delivering public services. A wide range of factors there. I think one point which is, I think, a sort of slight difference between what Chris is saying and what the panel believes is the panel doesn't take the view that having partnerships with other organisations is an intrinsic threat to independence. I think it takes the view, it's got a wide range of people on it, that partnerships can be a very good thing, and receiving money from others can be a very good thing. I think anyone who's been in receipt of money from the Bearing Foundation, I'm sure, would be delighted. And likewise, many organisations are in receipt of money from governments, and it's an absolutely essential part of their operations. Its starting point is not that that relationship is bad in itself or inevitably compromises independence, but that the relationship has to be operated in a certain way to make it effective. And a lot of it comes down to detail. It comes down to the actual way in which mission processes and tendering processes and funding arrangements are set out. And turning to my own experience, having worked in government, and I worked in government for many years. I worked in the Treasury, and I worked in the Department for Education and Skills, and other places as well. And I've worked closely with the voluntary sector on the other side of the fence, as well as also being in the voluntary sector in receipt of government grants. I would say it can work well. Some years ago, I was involved in the development of childcare and early years policy in the Department for Education and Skills, and we worked. I think we did have a genuine partnership with many of the, all of the leading charities and voluntary bodies on childcare, and they influenced government policy. And they also were involved at local level in the delivery of government policies, and I think that partnership was fruitful and powerful and important. However, I would say, and I'm speaking simply from my own past experience rather than current experience of government that once you start to give money to voluntary bodies for public services, you do start to see them as a delivery arm. And if you are involved in competitive processes, which is usually the case nowadays, there is a competitive element, and there is a tendency, I think, for government to see the voluntary sector as just another provider. And particularly, those processes require you to give no special treatment to one group or another. And that makes it quite hard, really, to kind of recognise the differences between the voluntary sector and the private sector. And it can put the voluntary sector into quite a difficult position, really, because some of the processes that are set out may work very well for the private sector, but they actually don't recognise the special needs of the voluntary sector. And I think that another thing which is a problem for for government is that if it gives money out, it has to be very clear what it's giving it for. And it's required to do so because it has to be accountable to Parliament for taxpayers' money. And that tends to push it into measurable things, often quite narrowly defined things, where you can say, I've given you money for this, can you please report back to me and tell me that you've delivered this? Outcomes are often, difficult to define, difficult to ascribe cause and effect to. And so a lot of the contracting processes created by the government tend to be quite restrictive and end up telling an organisation really how to do its job. End up pushing organisations into a particular way of operating, which may not be the way that the organisation actually wants to operate, and it may squeeze out some things which the organisation think are quite important, which are hard to define, like quality. Quality, I think, is a terribly important thing. And there's a natural tendency, I think, from anyone who starts giving money across to feel that they're the piper, and you as the piper, calls the tune. So there are difficulties here. I think fundamentally, often, because in a contracting arrangement, the government sees the voluntary sector as just another provider, there's a tendency not to recognise the special things that the voluntary sector can bring, particularly its responsiveness to the communities served, which means that it's designing innovative services that people actually need. So it often ends up being doing what it's told to do, because that's where the money is, and not being able to do what it actually thinks is really needed to be done to serve those communities. And as Chris said, I think there is, and I've heard this recently from someone in government, there is, once you start to receive money, the policy role becomes more problematic because you tend to be seen as a vested interest. Saying that thinks government, because you want to be paid for this sort of work, because it's in your interests. And so, they tend to put a bit of a question mark over some of the things which are being said to them by the voluntary sector. And then finally, just speaking up for the government, which is not my place to do, but since I was invited to, I think there's a huge amount of pace of change around the government, as well as for the voluntary sector. People are working very fast, they're often asked to do lots of different things very, very quickly. There are political pressures, politicians don't like being criticised on the whole, which make officials and people working in government not listen very well, should we say, to what the voluntary sector is telling it, but just get on with the task in hand and complete that tender process rather than actually sort of sit back, have a discussion, and make sure that the thing which is being tendered for is actually the right thing in the first place. So that's it for me, but I just want to add, in case there isn't time, that the panel is consulting at the moment. If you're interested in what we're saying, please do have a look at its report. If you've got any thoughts on the design of the barometer, on anything else in the report, get in touch. The deadline is 21st of September, but if you can't meet that deadline and if you've got thoughts, don't stop there. Email me or just get in touch, and there'll still be scope to talk about these things as the panel goes along, because it's got 5 years, which is a long time to talk about this subject.
Okay, thank you, Caroline.